I'd like to offer a few things regarding Luke's Gospel as we have finished reading it in Luke's Gospel. While it's one of the three what we call synoptic Gospels, because they all sort of follow the same outline of events and timeline regarding Jesus' ministry, each of them have different aspects, things that are lifted up that the others do not. And Luke is traditionally a physician, and we know of a Luke who is a correspondent, at least, with Paul in the epistles. We suspect that he is one of the companions of Paul in the book of the Acts, at least for a little while towards the end of Paul's ministry. While Luke is a physician, according to tradition, he's a brilliant historian in the way he writes, and I've mentioned this before. His writing is like a classical history. He's very close to sources who were witnesses of Jesus from the beginning, even circumstances surrounding his birth. Also, that beginning is a rather scathing critique of the persons in power at the time of Jesus. And this continues on throughout Luke's Gospel. And we find also sayings and teachings of Jesus not found anywhere else, including what are considered beloved parables, the Good Samaritan, in response to the question, who is my neighbor? And while we may know the story, it really should bear, it would really be fruitful for us to have a close examination of that story. Also, the story of the prodigal son is good to have a very close examination of it. And the rich man and Lazarus is another parable of Jesus. And that's not so much a parable as it is a story of judgment. And I feel personally very convicted by that one, as well as very convicted by the sayings of Jesus, and particularly in Luke's Gospel. It's a very rich gospel to look at, and the continued critique of persons in power in a very strong way, warning of judgment. Another parable that is really worth looking at is the shrewd manager, is often the way it is called. And that's hard to unpack. But it's clear that Luke's Gospel, of all the Gospels, tells us not to judge by appearances, and certainly not to justify ourselves by our accomplishments. And it's a continued blessing to read the further works of Jesus by his Spirit in the book of the Acts, which is also written by the same writer. We will get to that much later, and there are ties between the two. But I hope this is helpful. Think about reading those things over again. And of course, it's always good to read Scripture, but be open to what convicts you and how you will live for Jesus with what Jesus has said to you and to all of us rather directly. And for me, Luke's Gospel is a particular blessing. Also, it's the only one that really has the story of Jesus' nativity. Matthew does have a little bit of the circumstances. Luke is much more detailed in what's been going on around in the Holy Land at Jesus' birth. So I hope this is of some help to you and may guide you in further meditative, prayerful study of the Scriptures. Thank you very much.